How childhood trauma affect the adult brain and emotional life. Emptiness or disconnected. Even when life on the surface looks fine, that unsettled feeling might trace back to the childhood, not just hidden in memories, but rooted deep in the very wiring of your brain and how those early experiences shape your brain, emotions, and relationships in adulthood. Many people don't realize that today's struggle are rooted in things that happen in childhood. It can be in the form of trauma, fear, or emotional imbalances. The experiences of our childhood often mold us who we become as adults. For example, Jake is in his 30s and always felt like something was off in his life. He struggled with anger and trouble trusting people and often felt empty inside. He worked hard, kept busy himself, but deep down he felt disconnected. What people didn't know that home environment has significant impact on childhood upbringing. NJ grew up in a home where there was yelling, silence, and emotional neglect. His parents weren't bad people, but they did not know that they were stressed, unavailable, and never understood the importance of emotional support. Jake learned to keep his emotions inside to survive by staying quiet. Years later in therapy, Jake realized that his childhood experiences were still living inside him, not just in his memories, but in his brain processes like decision making and relationship style. It's important to understand that what is childhood trauma. Childhood trauma isn't just about tragic accidents, violence, abuse, losing loved one, or any big and obvious event. Trauma can also come from small things like being ignored or emotionally neglected, or growing up with a parent who is always angry or critical, living with addicted or mental illness member in the family, being bullied or constantly compared to others, feeling unsafe, unloved, or invisible. When a child feels overwhelmed, scared, or alone, and no adult helps them feel safe, the brain treats that as trauma. And how does that trauma affect a child's brain? A child's brain is still developing like a soft clay. When a child grew up in a stressful, fearful, or chaos environment, the brain becomes wired for survival, not connection. The amygdala is the brain's fear center, and living in continuous fear and stress, it becomes overactive. This makes the child constantly alert, anxious, or aggressive. The hippocampus, which involved in memory and learning, becomes affected due to continuous stressful environment, and this will lead to poor connection, concentration, and confusion. The prefrontal cortex, which helps with decision making and emotion control due to such harsh environment, develop more slowly, making emotional regulation harder. So when Jake reacted with anger or become quiet totally during conflict, it wasn't because he was weak or mean. His brain had simply been trained that way from a young age. That is how childhood trauma shows up in adult life. Even when the child grows up and leaves that environment, the emotional patterns often stay. This is called emotional imprinting. In adults, childhood trauma can show up as fear of intimacy, deep trust issues, anger, or emotional numbness, feeling not good enough no matter how much they achieve, trouble expressing emotions or setting boundaries, anxiety, depression, or low self-worth, become people's pleaser to avoid rejection or push people away before they get too close. Jake growing through that all. In his relationship, he often felt neither too clingy or too distant. When someone showed him love, he didn't know how to accept. Deep down, he believed if I open up, I will get hurt. These beliefs were formed in childhood, but he carried them into adulthood. So the question is, can the brain heal from childhood trauma? Most important thing is yes, healing is possible. The brain has a beautiful ability called neuroplasticity, the power to change and rewire, even in adulthood. Similarly, when Jake started therapy, he slowly began to talk about his childhood, something he had never done before. His therapist helped him understand that what happened to him was not his fault. He wasn't broken, just hurt. He also learned self-compassion. He practiced journaling, breathing exercise, and spent time with people who made him feel safe. Over time, his way of thinking and reaction changed. He no longer exploded during arguments. He started letting people in. He even learned to say, I feel scared, instead of turning away. Now you might feel like you have similar issues, or any of your friend is going through just like Jake. So here are a few steps that may help. First, recognize it. Many people live their whole life not realizing their past is affecting their present. Second, realizing that you need help is the first step. Secondly, talk to someone. Therapy or counseling can be incredibly healing. You don't need to carry these alone. Learn about your patterns, notice your triggers, reactions, and beliefs. Write them down and be gentle with yourself. Trauma survivors often judge themselves harshly. Practice kindness towards your younger self. Feel safe, find safe people, surround yourself with those who respect your feelings and boundaries. And thank you for subscribing and sharing Hussain Psychology. Childhood trauma can leave deep wounds, but it does not have to define your whole life. Healing is not quick, but it's real and you deserve it. See you in the next video.